Hello, I'm Chuck, and this is Retirement Ain't Easy. And hold on 1 second. Okay, there. Oh, wait, one more time. Hello, I'm Chuck, and this is Retirement Ain't Easy. And that was my mask that I use when I use my painting booth when I'm building models. And today's video is a compilation of my latest model I just completed about a week ago. It's the Revell Apache AH64 helicopter. So I put this together over the last, I took my time, so it took a couple of months. And then I finally got some weathering and some display stand from Amazon. Anyway, I'll go through the whole thing here. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so let's go. All right, so this is the AH64 Apache helicopter model from Revell. It's fairly easy to build. I think it's a level 4 out of 5. There are a lot of small parts. I mean, looking at the box, you can see there's footholds and handholds and things like that that have to be glued on, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I got this from Ollie's, which, if you're not familiar with Ollie's, I don't know if it's a nationwide store, but Ollie's is a store in Mississippi and also here in Texas. I believe I bought this while visiting my mom, and it was $12.99. You can see, and if you try to get these online, I think they're twice that price. So obviously Ollie's is a little cheaper. So there you go. And here are the instructions that come with the helicopter. Pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go leaping through these, but it's pretty straightforward, not too hard to read. And as far as the paint, pretty much everything is olive drab, so you'll see. And here we have the box open and all the sprues in there, and it's already molded in kind of like a military green, well, Army US military green. Now, it's not a whole lot of, you don't have to paint it if you don't want to and make the details, but as you can see, there's a lot of tiny little parts here around there, the handholds and things like that. So it was a little frustrating build at times, but for the most part, it was okay. This picture shows, if you look in the background there, that's the completed model. I decided to just put everything together, the wheels, everything, the turbines, all that on each side of the halves, which is kind of what the instructions are telling you to do. And then I put together the cockpit there as well, with the seats and the stuff there. And then here in the front here, foreground, is the rotors, and putting all 4 rotors together on the assembly there, getting things ready to put together. And this is just a real quick picture of the pilots. I put together the cockpit there, the front, that's one of the front seats there, and there's the console as well. These are getting ready to be primed. And here are all the pieces ready to be primed. As I said before, I put the wheels on, I put the turbines on each half of the helicopter shell, and then I built out the console, the cockpit, and the console, and the pilots were put together, and everything's ready to start to be primed. This is following the instructions as they're written out. This is how the instructions flowed. So these are ready to be primed. And this is the right half of the helicopter, primed. Just came out of the paint booth. As I said, I had the wheels and the turbines already on there. You can see down below the rotors are getting ready to be primed as well. And this has the left side of the helicopter shell primed as well. All this is drying, and then there's the cockpit and the pilots as well primed. So we're getting ready to do some stuff with this, put it together, and then do some painting. Here are both sides of the helicopter painted in the olive drab military green. And also the cockpit, I went ahead and did everything in the olive drab green there. For the pilots, they were primed with black as before, but then I hand painted the green onto them, so that's why they're a little bit more. They're not completely green. So I was doing some detail painting on them already. So everything is in the OD green. This is like a first pass, as you'll see. After that initial painting, that first draft painting, I went ahead and put the halves together and started adding all the extra stuff onto it, the missiles and the bombs and stuff, and then the gun on the bottom, so you can see the difference between the paint that I put on there, the OD paint, versus the original plastic color there. But again, this is assembling everything together, and I'm going to do another priming here. I decided to go ahead, since the canopy included some green around it, I decided to go ahead and put the canopy onto the helicopter. I first masked it all off, and then I glued it on the helicopter. This is all getting it ready to be painted. So we've got a detail there, and then here's the full helicopter ready to be primed again, full on black. And I cleaned up some other things here. So after I painted it again, I noticed that there were still some gaps visible, and so I went through and filled in those that were really bad or semi bad. So I filled on the gaps in the top there, all along basically the halves, where the halves were joined together, and then also on the bottom there where the halves were joined together. And this is typical puttying that you have to do when you do any kind of aircraft anyway, because they always come in two halves and you got to put them together. So I then re-primed everything with the black primer, complete all the way over. At this point the helicopter's pretty much put together, and I just decided to just prime everything and repaint everything and then do detail painting. Also reprime the rotors and the rotor mechanism there as well. So everything is ready for a final painting. And here is the final painting. It's the military OD green or dark green. I can't remember the exact color there, but this is completely done. For the rotors, I left them black. I did paint them over the black prime. I did use some black paint and paint over them as well, but the instructions call for them to be black, so I left them black. For the rear blades, I did paint these the olive drab green, and then I came back and I painted them black as indicated in the instructions. And then for the rotors, I then did some gunmetal silverish color on the mechanism, and I did the black paint over of the prime black as well. So here is the model fully painted. I did some detail work. I probably have some more detail work and some line stuff to do on this, but this is the decal applications. And I'm learning on how to do decals. I don't have the whole solution, you know, you're supposed to use to prep it and then cover it up and all that. I just use the normal water, dipping it in and putting it on. I use almost all of the decals but some I couldn't get to, and they weren't even visible anyway, so I didn't use them all. And there we go, all done pretty much. I did some weathering with this weathering set kit there you see in the background, but this is the complete model. I consider myself done on this. Here's a top-down view, and then we've got a side view of things posted there. You can see the decals included there, and then a front view, which is, I did do some weathering, so it looks kind of dusty and grimy kind of deal, but you can see, I guess I should have, on the front view, I should have propped the cameras and stuff. I should have raised those up so you could see the lenses on those, but there you go. That's the workbench view. Now here's a close-up of the cockpit, and you can see both the gunner and the pilot in here, and the weathering. I kind of did a messy job of weathering it. It is what it is. I'm leaving it at that. I did some panel lines as well, doing some of that to see if that would draw that out. This is a close-up of the pilot. I did some detailing on it, not a whole lot. This is a really messy windshield, I must say. I did a very weathering job. And then the final picture here is the gunner, and one of the decals that came with it, as you can see, there's the U.S. Army AH64 serial number, blah blah blah, which is pretty cool, and that came out pretty good. When I first started this model, I was thinking, much like the tank model that I did, I was going to do some kind of diorama. And I looked around on the internet and YouTube, and there are already some really cool dioramas that there's no way I could have replicated. I mean, one where the helicopter is actually firing a missile. So I decided to just display it on a stand. So I got on Amazon and I found this stand here, and it works pretty good. By the way, if you're interested in this stand, I can put a link down below. I don't get affiliated or anything like that, but I must warn you that the picture on Amazon shows a black stand, and this is how it comes. It comes in clear, which a lot of people complain about, but I didn't have any problems with that. So then I took that, and it is easy to prime and paint, so I put it in my paint booth, and I got it up primed up. I primed the stand I was going to use, and also it comes with a little deal where you can put like a nameplate or a plate on there as well. So I primed that as well, and then I realized that the stand that I primed was the longer one, and I wanted the shorter one, so I went back and primed the shorter one that I want. So we've got the display base and the stand all primed and ready to go, and then I painted it the same color as the helicopter with the OD green, military green. The hardest part of this stand was cutting a hole in the bottom of the helicopter so you could stick that little tab there into the helicopter. Otherwise, it worked great. I would recommend this if you're doing an airplane or a helicopter or anything like that. It does come with the three stands, so you could position them. If you had smaller airplanes, I guess you could position the 3 planes flying together. And here is the final workbench display with the stand, helicopter mounted on the stand. Got the nameplate down there as well. I hadn't put that on yet. That's coming here in a little bit. There's a side view, and here's a little bit more of a close-up view. And I've got the cameras on the front pointed out so they look a little bit more lively. And you can see the stand works pretty good. It turned out all right. And now for the final reveal. I set this up in front of some white backboard and took some more detailed pictures with a better camera instead of my iPhone. Here's a side view of the helicopter and on its display stand. Again, I don't have the nameplate, but that's coming. I'll show that here in a minute. And here is a front view of it all looking pretty good. I'm fairly satisfied with it. It was a pain for some of the smaller pieces, the handholds and things like that, and then the decals. Some of them were a little tricky, but all in all, it was all right. And then we've got a close-up view, a little bit more close-up view. I tried to make it look weathered and things. You know, if you step back a little, the weathering is not so bad, and the on the windshields, on the cockpit canopy and things like that. So it's not too bad. It's okay. And here's a little bit more detailed view of the copter. I'm fairly happy with it. I mean, it was a straightforward build with some challenges. Like I said, with the handholds and footholds, those were tiny little pieces to put on there. And then I tried to weather it as best I could. And again, I'm still learning on how to do decals. You can see the decals, they kind of stand out. So I need some of that solution that you put on them to make them sit better. And then the final review here is with the nameplate on it, AH64 Apache, and this is how it's displayed. I'm not sure where I'm going to display it at as yet, but there it is. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, this is Retirement Ain't Easy. I'm Chuck, and this is one of the many hobbies that I have besides making music and reading. I do model making and a number of other things, including some retirement videos where I actually talk about what I do in retirement. I hope you enjoyed this. You know, subscribe, like, do all those things. Check out my other model making videos. I'm sure I'll put together a playlist here and have them all listed there. And thanks for coming by. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.